Trump is hosting a summit today focused on
that she wanted to know what the Fed was doing to plan on regulating this. Powell told her that the Fed has met with Facebook representatives. Waters about this. She said she started her questioning, raised the Libra question. It did come up quite a bit yesterday from both Republicans and Democratic lawmakers on that House committee. I talked to Chair yesterday from both Republicans and Democratic lawmakers on that House committee.
Y'all heard the world come. Alright, let's try this. Y'all get jacked by some knuckles. But y'all clean. Y'all got an outstanding and then warrant like everybody in here. And what do you do? What do you do?
Give another name.
Why?
Because your real name ain't no good.
Alright, it ain't good, and follow through. Alright, death grip ain't shit.
You change up the name.
What else?
Yo, I got it. Change the caps from red to blue, right? Make it look like we got some fresh shit. Boom.
What's going on, everyone? It's your girl Angie Snatch. I'm up late for a late night live. I wanted to do this live tomorrow, but you know how stuff be on your mind and you're like, nah, I'm gonna get it off right now, like so I can rest. I'll be tired in the morning. So if you're looking at the topic, then you know there's two things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about Mark Zuckerberg's chess move, in my opinion, and Howard University's student protests. I want to shed some light on what these young people are doing at Howard. So first, let's get into Mark Zuckerberg. So news broke today about Mark Zuckerberg announcing Facebook's name would be changed to Meta. Well, not quite, because I haven't quite figured it out. Meta is going to act as an umbrella company, a holding company, and to some extent, an additional product. But we'll get into Meta a bit later because I don't want us to get distracted from what I think this really is and why I think that this is definitely a chess move on Mark Zuckerberg's behalf. So who remembers Libra? Libra was this cryptocurrency that Mark Zuckerberg introduced 2 years ago. I think it was like maybe three, because maybe around 2018, 2019, I'll say. He introduced Libra. So what Libra was going to be a cryptocurrency, but not like Bitcoin. It was going to be almost act as its own dollar. So what he was saying was that he was going to fill the void in developing countries that do not have banking systems, but everyone to some extent has Facebook or access to Facebook as a cryptocurrency. Now, why it is different from Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has this sense of transparency, just like the stock market. You're not completely relying on the honor system. With Libra, they had an association. It was the Libra Association. And what they did was they monitored the finances, but you couldn't see it. You had to trust them on the valuation of the dollar. Now, this scared Congress, because how could they assure? We know about different market crashes that has happened. Different banks had to be bailed out. I think Obama bailed out banks. So how could they give assurances with the fluctuation of currency that they would be able to give people, if you cashed out, that you would literally be able to get your money? Now, I'm going to share with you. So this is Libra, the cryptocurrency. This is what Mark Zuckerberg first came out. His first idea, extending Facebook, was Libra. So I'm going to share my screen because, like I said, Congress wasn't having it, and Auntie Maxie for sure wasn't having it. Hold on. Let me share.
Yesterday from both Republicans and Democratic lawmakers on that House committee. I talked to Chairwoman Maxine Waters about this. She said she started her questioning with Libra because it is just so important to her. She said that she wanted to know what the Fed was doing to plan on regulating this. Powell told her that the Fed has met with Facebook representatives. They met before this Libra announcement, and it has set up a working group to look into the issue. Now, Facebook argues it's not the only company involved. It says there is going to be separation between financial data and the social media giant. So you don't necessarily have to trust Facebook to get a benefit from Libra. I asked Waters if she bought that. Here's what she said.
Well, absolutely not. I think it is no secret that there are a lot of questions about Facebook, and there are some investigations that are going on. And so I don't think that we can rely on any representation from Zuckerberg or anybody else. Just trust me. We're fine. We are right. They've got all this data, and this data is being monetized. They're able to, sell this data. And, people's privacy is at stake. And so, no, we're not taking anybody's word for it. We're going to do what public policymakers should be doing, and that is paying the kind of attention to an issue like this that will ensure that we protect consumers.
Bringing in the
So what Maxine Waters is saying, she has a very valid point, because remember, Facebook is a private company. They sell ads as well as they control algorithms. They've gotten in trouble in the past, and they have a whistleblower situation going on right now regarding their algorithms. So when we're talking about doing currency directly through Facebook, they know now your spending habits. Every time that we're using that money, they know your phone pings where you are, and the person on the receiving end, their phone pings as well. So you're allowing a lot of access. It's bigger than money. It's a privacy issue. So Maxine Waters eventually got Zuckerberg in front of her. Now let me share this with you.
Does not ring true. Mr. Zuckerberg, each month 2.7 billion people use your products. That's over a third of the world's population. That's huge. That's so big that it's clear to me and to anyone who hears this list that perhaps you believe that you're above the law, and it appears that you are aggressively increasing the size of your company and are willing to step on or over anyone, including your competitors, women, people of color, your own users, and even our democracy to get what you want. All of these problems I've outlined, and given the company's size and reach, it should be clear why we have serious concerns about your plans to establish a global digital currency that would challenge the US dollar. In fact, you have opened up a serious discussion about whether Facebook should be broken up.
Okay, so with Libra, as you can see, the issue that Maxine Waters and Congress had was that if they do this global currency, this is another currency to compete with the dollar, which brings in Diem, which became Facebook Libra 2.0. Now, mind you, neither one of these companies got cleared. So neither one of the companies are cleared to actually sell currency yet. These are his attempts. So how Diem differs from Libra is he said, okay, I won't do a global currency. Diem is specifically attached to the US dollar. So if the US dollar goes up in valuation, then Diem goes up in valuation. If the US dollar goes down, then Diem goes down. However, that still didn't solve Congress's issue of data and how much power he would have. Like Maxine Waters said, 2.7 billion users on Facebook alone. That is a power that he holds in his hand. Now, I believe that he must have been I was watching The Wire, and literally, I believe that Meta is a stringer bell move. There's this particular part in The Wire where the product was bad, so they had to figure something out. And if this isn't it, check it out.
All right, let's try this. Y'all get jacked by some narcos, but y'all clean. Y'all got an outstanding warrant like everybody in here, and what do you do? What do you do?
We give another name.
Why?
Because your real name ain't no good.
All right, it ain't good, and follow through. All right, Death Grip ain't shit.
We change up the name.
What else?
Yo, I got it. Change the caps from red to blue, right? Make it look like we got some fresh shit. Boop.
Yeah.
And you know what else we might could do? Give each tower its own name, right? And then we do like some fake competing. So a fiend gets some bad shit from one, he go back to the other.
And there's a thinking man right there.
See, nigga, ain't that what the fuck I just said?
What do you do? You change the name. Hence, Meta. Libra got a bad rap. Diem, they're not buying it because that association board, some of the people that are on that board are people like Uber, Lyft, Shopify, Spotify. Imagine the power they would have to manipulate you through your phone, through your app. So what do? You change your product name, hence Meta. So what Meta is, essentially it is a part of the metaverse. If you're a gamer, then you're familiar with the VR thing. So what Meta is a form of their name for the Oculus VR. Why I say this is just another attempt changing the name of a different product for him to get to what he really wants, which is to get in the cryptocurrency game, to monetize. In life, we live in a capitalistic society. If you're from the United States, you should be trying to monetize. And I think that this is just another attempt. Why I say that is because who remembers this? This is Facebook credits. So Facebook credits, it came out, it was only out for about 3 years. This is the only time that he had some form of a currency that was a standalone through Facebook. So Facebook currency was, if you played games, you had to buy these credits through Facebook. It lasted from 2010 to I think about 2012. They ended the service. However, he had a big contract with Zynga, and they created a lot of the Tetris style games. They had a contract with Disney. So he had all of these gaming companies that had these exclusive contracts with him, where in order for you to buy in game, you had to do it through Facebook. The companies took 70% and he took 30%. This is why I think that Meta is another attempt for him to get in the cryptocurrency game, because he can do the one time he's gotten away with creating some form of his own currency was through the gaming sector. So if I create this VR system and there's a gaming component, I can create the VR, or not even a gaming component, because to me, he's also marketing to corporations. If you watch the video with his speech, he talks about virtual working and remote working as well. But I believe that he's going to create some type of in-app purchases to then create his own currency. I could be reaching. You guys let me know what you think. Now, the other thing I want to get into is Howard University. So Howard University, there has been about 3 weeks of student protests. I am going to say it. To some extent, we support these HBCUs just because they are HBCUs, because at this point, our HBCUs have gotten a lot of an additional funding, but there is a mismanagement of funds. So we praise these universities. However, we're not holding them accountable. So Howard University students are protesting because of the living conditions. Now, great people have come out of Howard, but I believe that Howard may just be a place to learn, but not a place to live. And they may need to invest in some properties around DC, because it's very clear that they have dilapidated campus housing. I think that we get so caught up in the novelty of our HBCUs, like they named their College of Fine Arts after Chadwick Boseman. They have Felicia Rashad there, but I want you guys to listen to this news story, and they're actually threatening the students that speak publicly. They're at risk of being expelled from the school for speaking publicly about this situation. I'm going to share this news clip. Check it out.
Of protests at Howard University. This as students conduct a sit-in over poor housing conditions. Fox 5's Jacqueline Matter joins us now live from Blackburn Center on campus with more. Jacqueline.
Hey there, Angie. We are talking rats. We're talking roaches, mold. Those are just some of the issues that students here at Howard University are complaining about. Now, we were previously at the protest earlier. We were kicked off campus. So now we're standing outside of the Blackburn Center, which is right behind this building here. That is where dozens of protesters are sitting outside. Many more are sitting inside of the Blackburn Center who can't leave or risk losing their efforts. Videos sent to Fox 5 shows water pouring out of pipes, expired air filters with mold and mildew.
Look at this. Like, are you serious?
And mushrooms growing on ceilings and walls. With tuition being nearly $50,000 a year, they say they're frustrated with how Howard University's administration has handled the situation. Many students we spoke to want to remain anonymous out of fear of getting expelled.
Her entire room flooded.
Close friend of mine, same thing, roof collapsed.
There's mold in the dorms.
And in the meantime, they were not concerned with how she was getting by.
The group Live Movement, a coalition of students from historically Black colleges and universities, originally invited faculty and school officials to a town hall Tuesday night to address their concerns. Instead, police arrived on campus to try to remove students. Students are now demanding an in-person meeting with administrators by the end of the month, voting power for student representatives on the Board of Trustees, and further discussion of housing plans for future students. Howard University tweeting a statement saying in part they support the right to a peaceful protest, and during a student town hall, a small group interrupted the constructive dialogue and instigated the sit-in. They went on to say they have sat down with student leaders for lunch to open up a conversation about their concerns over the past 2 weeks.
Why am I paying full tuition when all my classes are online?
Could have been doing that back home.
Students say their protests have remained peaceful, even when administrators threatened to expel students if they did not leave the building before noon on Wednesday. Instead, hundreds more went inside. At one point, campus police blocked food, water, and resources from coming into Blackburn, where the students were gathered. For nearly every student Fox 5 spoke with, they all say they will not leave until their demands are met.
I'd rather get kicked out of school, but no, I got kicked out of school, but now I'm looking back on news or looking back at my friends and they're like, oh, I'm sorry you got kicked out, but we have housing that doesn't have mushrooms, doesn't have fungi, and doesn't have, stuff like that. Buildings aren't leaking anymore.
Now, we did get our hands on an email that went out from faculty to the students here at Howard University that said that they stand in solidarity with these students. As of right now, though, the university has not responded to the request from the protesters to have that in-person meeting. I also chatted with one of the leaders of this movement here. They tell me they are working to find some sort of legal representation for any students that face any sort of reprimand from school officials.
Now, with this, so they ended up getting a meeting. Not all of the students, I think it was like the student body president. These kids, they actually came with solutions. Now, what the news coverage is not saying is that even though they kicked that blonde lady, you see they kicked her off of campus as well. But what they're not saying is that when they were there at the Blackburn initially because they were promised a meeting, what happened is they were met by campus police officers. So here they were thinking that they were going to have a meeting. They're met with officers and then the sit-in begins. And they called it a disruptive protest. I don't think anything about a sit-in is disruptive at all. However, they did end up getting a meeting with the president. The president of Howard University, he's new. So they're giving him some time or something like that. But I don't agree on giving them any time because this is not the first time that students at Howard University have protests. They've had a protest maybe 3 or 4 years ago. They had a protest maybe 5 years before that. And Howard University Hospital just got funding from Congress last year. I think they got like $300 million. And then they announced this year that they signed a management deal, which is, code word for we've been bought out, with Adventist Health. So what is going on with all of this money? Even Howard University Hospital, which is next to the campus, they could have even used portions of the hospital as dorm rooms for these kids. But one thing that I believe that should be honored that the kids are asking for, they're asking for a voting stake in the hiring of leadership. And I think that's important because when you bring in leadership that has no attachment to the university, to the community around it, to the student body, they are not invested. But when you have the students, there's this ownership that you give the students for them to be a part of their education. With that, and then, let me show you this because I thought it was super dope and I want to show it. So Howard just had their homecoming, and you always want the kids to enjoy their homecoming. Like that's a memory that they should always remember. But I thought it was really dope that Gucci Mane, he refused to perform at the homecoming because the homecoming, that's another form of bringing in dollars to this school. And they could afford to book Gucci, But he ended up backing out of his performance at Howard University. And I thought that was pretty honorable of him. And I hope that Howard, at least within 14 days, has some type of solution, because we have plenty of colleges that are using apartment complexes. We have community colleges that use apartment complexes. Howard being such a grand HBCU, are they spending most of their money bringing in these honorary professors, celebrities, and things like that, and not investing in the actual infrastructure? I think that's a fair assessment at this point. And I will say Howard produces very educated individuals. So it is a place to learn, but not a place to live. I'll just say that. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, Investing Out the Blue. Thank you, J.I.N. Jr. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. I was up late. I said, let me share it. This is my second StreamYard, and I kind of like this back-end system. It's different from what I am used to using, but I like it. And I'm going to do a live tomorrow so everyone can join in and we could talk about it. But definitely, I think that Mark Zuckerberg is making a chess move. He wants to get in that cryptocurrency game. And guess what? Oh, actually, let me share my screen one more time so you guys can see. Hold on. So you guys can see the new Libra 2.0 DM, the board that's on it. I mean, who's on the association, to give you an idea, because I thought it was interesting to see Coinbase, who is a direct, Nas is invested in Coinbase, but Coinbase is a direct competitor to Bitcoin. And you see this Novi from Facebook. So initially, Novi was the currency. It was the name of the currency. Libra was like the system, and Novi was the currency. It still exists. He's just renaming his products. Then you have Lyft, Shopify, Spotify, Uber. Imagine how much your data can be tracked with this type of power that Mark Zuckerberg is looking for. Now, I think he really has an out with the VR world, because we know about V-Bucks and all that type of stuff in gaming. So it is a way to create your own currency in the gaming world. And I think he's like, that's my way of getting around Congress, because he has a bad rap. I mean, honestly, Facebook has a lot of branding issues. And with that, whistleblower situation that he has going on, I think Meta is just an additional product. It really is an additional product and a rebranding. And you think about it, so many other companies that have done that. People wonder why WWF went from WWF to WWE. It's because World Wildlife Fund sued them for using that acronym. So they ended up changing their name. What other company? There's quite a few companies that ended up changing their name, like Philip Morris, the Marlboro company. They changed their name because of scandal. There's a couple of companies that changed their name. They're not coming to my head right now, but there's quite a few companies that changed their name to rebrand themselves. Subway used to be called Pete's Submarine, or like Pete's Best Submarine. KFC, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken. They rebranded it to KFC because there was this big health food craze where people wanted to be healthy. So in order to be more competitive, they changed their name to KFC. So I just think that it's a rebranding tactic. I think Howard University and all our HBCUs, like, we need to start holding them accountable. Now, we done marched and we done fought for y'all to get these dollars. What are you guys doing with these dollars? And even at Howard, not every child has a scholarship. So you have parents that are paying $50,000 a year, even if it's in a student plus loan, accruing this debt for their children to go to Washington, D.C., to the great Howard University, for them to be surrounded by rats and leaky pipes. I mean, especially in this pandemic, what were they doing this past 19 months that they had to prepare. So that's my little rant. I can go to sleep now because I got it off my mind. I hope all of you have a great night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. It's Angie Snatch.